妻子每晚都打扮得花枝招展，出去跟不同的男人私会，可瘫痪的丈夫却对此毫无办法，还要忍受妻子的嘲弄。
And don't play with your zizi while I'm gone.
妻子留下个得意的表情，急不可耐地出门玩耍。谁料第二天回来之后，却发现丈夫尿了一地。今天是丈夫的生日，妻子特地为他带回了一件礼物。可当丈夫惊喜地打开礼盒，竟发现里面放着一把手枪。妻子端来一块蛋糕，可上面却插着白蜡烛。想起这些日子的遭遇，丈夫绝望地吹灭了烛火。可他并没有选择开枪自杀，而是决定亲自给妻子挑一个靠谱的情人。他选中了年轻力壮的大山，一个早已厌倦了婚姻的老实男人。趁大山的妻子去上厕所，男人默默开始了自己的计划。等大山去厕所寻找妻子，便撞见了痛哭流涕的咪咪。他们赶忙把咪咪扶起，可他双腿一软又栽了下去，直到躺在甲板上吹风。咪咪的眼中还写满了破碎的绝望。谁料当晚大山来到船上的酒吧，竟发现咪咪没事人一样大跳着艳舞，过后还故意坐到大山身边，眼神中满是魅惑。
Okay, Nigel. Amuse me. Say something.
大山满脸局促，呆板的表现让咪咪有些失望，他只好恋恋不舍地看着咪咪离去，直到深夜还对她念念不忘。谁料男人推着轮椅凑了上来，提醒他小心那个危险的咪咪。
Beware of her.
Right.
She's a walking man trap.
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure you do. I'm her husband. Look what she did to me.
看着男人瘫痪的双腿，大山不禁对这对夫妇产生了好奇，于是送男人回房之后，他询问起了这场虐恋的前因后果。当初咪咪也是个气质清纯的少女，引得邻座的男人频频侧目。可当乘务员前来查票时，咪咪肉眼可见的慌张起来，男人赶忙偷偷递上自己的车票，宁愿自己被赶下公交。这本是场烂俗的邂逅戏码，可之后的事情便逐渐变得失控。在继承了祖父的巨额遗产之后，男人变成了个有钱有闲的作家，可是每次坐在电脑前写作，咪咪的倩影都在眼前挥之不去。于是他回到当初相遇的地方，找遍了所有的公交车。这刻舟求剑的行为或许可笑，却能够缓解男人的相思之苦。直到这天他去餐厅吃饭，竟发现那个女孩刚好在这儿当服务员，于是他甩开对面的女伴，不管不顾地追了上去。搭讪时他紧张到浑身冒汗，好在女孩答应了他的邀约，一袭红裙让男人无法自拔，却不知那清纯的外表下还藏着另一副面孔。第一次来到男人家里做客，咪咪便主动解下了男人的领带，他们整整3天没有离开房间，日日夜夜不可分离。即使在游乐场的转盘上，他也想牵着咪咪那柔嫩的小手。强烈的晕眩之中，两只手紧紧握在一起，就像在这个混乱的世界里，把对方当成了唯一的救赎。每天晚上，咪咪都变换各种花样，展示自己那柔软的身段。即便吃早饭，咪咪也不消停，故意让牛奶流满全身。可随着时间的推移，咪咪的病态开始崭露头角。她撒娇般夺过男人的剃刀，非要帮男人刮胡子。锋利的刀锋瞬间划伤了男人的脸，鲜血也随之流下。可咪咪却将鲜血舔舐干净，眼睛里充满了原始的快感。听到这里，大山已经浑身不适，可男人却越讲越起劲，绘声绘色地描述着那些香艳的场面。大山害羞地离开了舱室，可男人描述的画面却在眼前挥之不去。直到面对熟睡的妻子，他才勉强把自己拉回了现实。谁料第二天，他刚跟妻子讲述了昨晚的经历，便发现咪咪正推着男人向他们走来。面对那段艳情的女主人公，大山不敢直视她的眼睛，可咪咪却大大方方地坐了下来，眼睛直勾勾地盯着大山。还在没人注意到的桌下，伸脚引诱着大山，大山只好强装镇定，直到咪咪离开才长舒一口气。
Fiona, I've already imposed on you, but may I beg a favor? As I'm sure he told you, Nigel and I had a chat last night. I found him such stimulating company. Could I borrow him again this afternoon? Just for an hour or so.
He's quite grown up. He doesn't have to have Mummy's permission.
有了妻子的许可，大山的倾听有了合理的借口，而他没敢说出口的是，自己的窥私癖也得到了满足。可是那个男人和咪咪的关系并没有像他预料中的发展下去。咪咪开始给男人戴上手铐，把他绑在转椅之上，而当咪咪缓缓走来的时候，手中竟拿着男人的剃刀。他把剃刀抵在男人的脖子上，用看狗一样的眼神看着他，随后便划开了男人的衣服，让他在心惊胆战中感受强烈的心理刺激。剃刀扎在地上的瞬间，咪咪便抬脚踩了上去，微微摇晃了几下之后，一脚把男人踢到了地上。各种新奇的道具逐渐塞满整间屋子，而他们也在玩法的探索中逐渐沉沦。可是生活中只有对方相伴，让男人逐渐感到乏味。他带咪咪去酒吧喝酒，却故意跟其他的女孩谈笑风生。咪咪感到强烈的妒忌，便拉起个陌生的黑哥一起跳舞。他本以为这能唤醒男人的醋意，可男人只是沉默着离开，就连男人也不知道自己为什么毫无感觉，就像一具空空如也的躯壳。反倒是咪咪看着男人那冷漠的样子，开始崩溃的疯狂道歉。
I'm sorry. I did it because I was jealous. Please, forgive me. You're my tiger. I don't want anyone but you. Not ever.
可是从此之后，他们之间就形成了一道无形的墙，不管尝试多少种新玩法，男人都没有一丝快感。大山听得入神，谁料咪咪却突然回来，他像个做坏事被抓包的孩子一样，匆匆逃离了男人的房间。可刚关上房门，他就听到里面传来咪咪的笑声，而此时的他还不知道自己已经跌入圈套。大山赶着去陪妻子吃饭，却被咪咪迎面拦住。
You mustn't believe all he says. He's a sick man. He imagines things. Please, don't think badly of me.
Oh, wait a minute. What are you playing at this time?
It matters to me what you think.
Does it? Does it really?
I have to talk with you, Nigel. I have to explain.
All right. Go ahead.
No, not here. In my cabin. We won't be disturbed there. Please.
大山局促的磕磕巴巴，只好答应咪咪的请求。他表面陪妻子打牌，内心的悸动却让他坐立难安。于是他告假离开，孤身推开了咪咪的房门。房间里漆黑一片，只有咪咪一个人躺在床上。大山壮起胆子，缓缓抚摸着咪咪的手，可是下一秒才发现，床上分明是那个瘫痪的老男人。大山气急败坏的想要离开，却被男人死死抓住。
Do you want her? Yes or no?
I don't want anything more to do with either of you ever. Let go. Let me go, or I'll...
Let me go or I'll call my mommy. Go on. Get out. Crawl back to your matrimonial tomb.
大山正要离开，内心深处的渴求却让他折返回来。看着即将上钩的大山，男人这才道出实情。
Mimi wants you to hear the rest of our story. She thinks it'll help her chances with you.
What are you, her pimp?
I don't begrudge Mimi the right to look elsewhere for what I can no longer supply. I merely supervise her affairs instead of submitting to them. You can have her, Nigel, with my blessings on one condition. You hear me out.
大山表面抗拒，却还是听话地坐了下来。而故事中的男人和咪咪关系也有了一种奇妙的变化。 自打男人发现自己不会吃醋，对待咪咪就明显冷淡了下来，甚至当着咪咪的面对各种女人示好。咪咪察觉到了他的冷淡，便故意提出了分手。谁料男人竟一口答应了下来，没有一丝挽留。咪咪愤怒地收好了行李，可男人却只顾专心写作，直到把房间钥匙还给男人的一刻，咪咪才终于绷不住了。
Love you, I love you so much. Please don't make me go. Please.
Stop crying. Go make some coffee or something.
男人把咪咪留在了身边，可脸上分明写满了厌倦。每晚咪咪睡着之后，他都用望远镜看着寻欢作乐的人们。曾经说好的永远，如今却成了束缚他的囚笼。
What a lovely evening. I wish it could last forever.
Forever's a long time, baby. I can't think in those terms. I never could.
But when something is good, don't you want it to last forever?
Sure, but good things never do.
Not even us?
Are we so good?
Aren't we?
Well, now that you come to mention it, no. Not anymore.
面对忐忑的咪咪，男人绝情地提出了分手。他不能容许自己被困在毫无激情的生活里，却不知这些话语正深深刺痛着咪咪。
But I love you. All I want is you. I want to marry you. I want to give you babies. I want to give you the rest of my life.
I don't want the rest of your life. I want my own. Can't you get it through your head?
What did I do wrong? Did I ever harm you? Oscar, tell me. Even a criminal is told his crime. What did I do?
You didn't do anything. You exist. That's all.
咪咪不敢相信自己听到的一切，强忍着心痛离开了深爱的男人。之后，男人也曾想念过咪咪，可随之而来的却是前所未有的解脱。谁料这天，男人出去饮酒作乐，回家后竟发现咪咪躺在门口。他一脚把咪咪踢醒，就像对待一只可怜的野狗。可咪咪却跪在他的脚下，像是丢掉了所有的尊严。刚进家门，男人就抱怨着咪咪的打扰。可此时的咪咪已经什么都不再顾忌。
I can't bear anything as long as I'm with you sometimes. You can shout at me. You can hit me. You can have other women. I don't care what you do, but please, don't send me away. Even if you don't love me anymore, keep me with you on everything. There's nothing I wouldn't do to stay with you. Please, please. Please. I beg you.
男人得意地叼上一支烟，决定用最残暴的方式对待咪咪。他清楚地知道咪咪已经离不开他，便把这种深沉的爱意当成了施暴的资本。咪咪为他更换了新鲜的造型，却也因此失去了自我。聚会上人人都风采照人，只有褪尽光华的咪咪孤零零坐在一旁。男人只是勾了勾手，他便听话地凑上前来。
We're just admiring your new hairstyle.
Really?
Yeah, Susan here thinks it suits you. I do too. I can't put my finger on it, but it reminds me of something. Oh, I know. Rita.
Rita?
You know Rita. Rita, the neighbor's dog. Just a minute. Wait, what's that? Looks like a zit. It is. And your nose is shiny, too. I'm not a makeup artist, but I could do better than that.
咪咪绝望地离开，用厚厚的粉底遮挡住长痘的皮肤，可惨白的脸庞配上血红的嘴唇，让她看起来更像是行尸走肉。她像个老妈子一样伺候着男人的饮食起居，可失去爱情的她做什么都是错的。她告诉男人她怀上了孩子，可男人却剥夺了她最后的希望。
Would it be fair to saddle a child with a father like this? Be honest.
看着病床上的咪咪，男人心里终于生出一丝怜悯。他答应带咪咪离开这里，换个地方重新开始生活。可是旅程即将开始时，男人却在最后一刻偷偷离开。为了甩掉咪咪这个包袱，他甚至不惜装作阑尾发作。看着飞机缓缓升起，他心满意足地叹了口气，却不知咪咪直到最后一刻还在等他回来。泪水控制不住地决堤而下，他望着天边的那轮月亮，心中却只有刺骨的苦涩。大山不忍心再听下去，便先行离开了舱室。谁料咪咪正站在门口，脸上带着苦涩的忧伤。故事与现实在此刻重叠，让大山克制不住地吻了上去。可当他回到自己的房间，却发现妻子并没有回来，妻子正跟一个帅哥一起喝酒，这让大山妒忌不已。他怪罪了妻子2句，谁料妻子早已看出他迷上了咪咪。
Just watch it, Nigel. Anything you can do, I can do better.
大山答应妻子不再去听故事，可那段故事却已让他上瘾。趁着跟妻子争吵，他又一次来到男人的房间。而自从把咪咪送走之后，男人就过上了醉生梦死的糜烂生活。那天他正要带着2个刚认识的女来回家，其中一个却要赶回去上班。男人赶忙下车追赶，却被卡车迎面撞了。再次醒来时，那些女孩没有一个来看他，只有被他狠心抛弃的咪咪为他带来了一束鲜花。
So you didn't kill yourself?
What for? I was dead already.
Well, you're looking great anyway.
I'm feeling great. Here, I brought you these.
Thanks.
过去了这么久，男人还是不愿接受咪咪，却不知这次咪咪回来就是要让他为当年的欺骗付出代价。咪咪临走时对他伸出了手，却又故意退缩，戏耍着他。
Remember the carousel?
Sure, I remember the carousel. I remember it like a trip to the dentist. Easy. Easy. Ah!
Asshole. Did you think I'd forgotten?
咪咪把他偷偷带出了病房，让瘫痪的他永远无法离开自己。虽然他无微不至地帮男人治疗，可反复使用的针头却让男人腿上生出黑斑。他有时会猜想咪咪还爱着自己，可咪咪却经常当着他的面跟情人打电话，还把他忘在冰冷的浴缸里，让他体会身体和精神的双重折磨。这天他把黑哥带回家中，当着男人的面跟他跳起了艳舞，跳到兴起的时候还带他钻进了卧室。男人无法移动分毫，只能默默听着卧室里传来的声音。而就在这样的折磨过去之后，他们仍自愿结为夫妻。那些残忍和伤害在他们之间形成了一种羁绊，再也没有什么能够将他们分开。大山终于听完了全部的故事，也终于能够如愿以偿地得到咪咪。趁着妻子在船舱里熟睡，他孤身到舞会上去寻找咪咪。咪咪那热情奔放的舞姿让他不自觉地凑了上去。而等一曲结束时，新年的钟声也同时响起。
Well, baby.
There's a scar.
Sure. Happy days.
咪咪牵起了大山的手，跟他同跳着亲密的慢舞。可当大山提出要带他回房时，他却说一切都只是个游戏。
You're hurting me terribly.
The way you're hurting your wife.
She doesn't know about that, sure.
She's looking right at us.
大山惊恐地看去，妻子正怒视过来，他似乎已经知晓一切，而且还隐藏着大山所不知道的秘密。看着舞姿丰盈的咪咪，妻子忽然向他走去，直到看着他们亲密的舞姿，大山才明白咪咪的目标从来就不是自己。
Maybe I made a mistake about you, Nigel. Maybe your wife would have been a better bet.
大船风雨飘摇，咪咪却跟妻子搂抱着向仓房走去。大山独自站在风雨之中，又把自己灌了个烂醉，这才穿过一片狼藉的大厅，敲响了男人的房门。妻子和咪咪正相拥而眠，男人的笑容也越发猥琐。大山怒吼着想要掐死男人，却被他的手枪逼得步步后退。可他并没有伤害大山，而是开枪打死了咪咪。
We were just too greedy, baby. That was all.
他们都是欲望的奴隶，永远无法填补那日渐膨胀的欲望。每一次的满足过后，都带来更大的空虚，于是只能在互相伤害之中寻求快感。可他们变成了所有相爱的方式，唯独没有在平凡的生活中寻求慰藉。而经历了如此恐怖的一幕，大山和妻子的生活终归平静，他们紧紧相拥，决定勇敢地选择平淡的生活。或许这样的生活中并没有那么多刺激，但有对方陪伴已经足够幸运。